talk to you today about marketing, but using social networks, things like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, the larger ones. But I actually want to start the talk just to give you a little bit of a framework, because most people are when they think about the internet, they usually think about their marketing problem being a Google problem. And I've been doing web development since about 1993 professionally, a little before that, where I was doing it because they bought me pizza. I'm a software guy, that's how you can see. You guys are all in funding, I'm in software, so I learned you guys. But traditionally, internet marketing started with a website, and the problem that everybody said to me was, why aren't I first on Google? Why aren't I getting people to my website? Why aren't I doing this? And I think a lot of social networks and the misunderstandings that people have and how they work and what they're for happens because of this Google problem. And I always describe Google as it's a giant haystack. And unfortunately, in this giant haystack, most people are really just one small piece of hay. So they say to me things like, I want to be first on Google, do you have a silver bullet? But it usually says, can you do something fancy and some tech trick to make it so that I get cheap? And there's no silver bullets. The closest thing Google sells for silver bullets is what's called pay-per-click ads, where you basically bid on a keyword and then you show up in the sponsored sections. And I follow what their engineers do. I've been following how their engineers talk about stuff, what problems they try to solve. So people will say, well, do you know how Google works? And the answer is, actually, most of their engineers don't know how Google works, but this is about as close as I can get to an explanation. And the thing I want to add to that is actually how important that t-shirt is. Because what that t-shirt means is when you do stuff, when you interact with Google, they use that data to influence their search. So some people will say, oh, if I click on all of my competitors' ads, I can get them to spend all this money. No, Google knows that trick. So when you click on your competitors' ads, they ignore all of those and don't charge your competitor a dime. Don't do that to your competitors. It's just mean. The important thing is the problem Google is trying to solve is huge, which is they want to index the content of the world, and they want to deliver to you, not you globally, but you individually, the best possible result to what you are asking to find. That's a very hard problem to solve. That means if this little B thing here, we'll say B, if B is what you're looking for, it's going to be popular because all of these little sites and these sort of medium sites are all saying that's the important site. They take that into account just as much as if they list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on a page and you click on number 2 because your brain looks at it and says, well, number 1 looks like garbage and number 2 looks right, they're going to go the next time someone does that search, hey, you know what? When Howard did this search yesterday, he clicked on number 2. So let's take number 2 and let's show it number 1 and let's see if that becomes what that person clicks on and if that's the good result. That data is just as important to what's actually on the page. And most people don't get that. But what happens is we see a list of search results in Google, and the very thing that we are looking for, most people will never describe. But what they are actually looking for, and I've seen this and done lab tests and all this fun stuff, is they are looking for something familiar. They aren't looking for something unknown. They're looking to say, here are 10 things on the page, which one can I trust because I don't know anything yet. So they're looking for a shred of trust. And that's because, a quick poll, how many people in here are human beings? Good? Excellent. We are, for the most part, all human beings. And by being human, there is one thing that we all have in common. And that is, we like trust. Trust works for us. We do business with people that we trust. If we don't trust them, we say no. It doesn't matter how good their product looks. If we don't trust it, we won't do it. And whether it's business networking, or families and friends, or churches, or hobbies, or whatever it is, we do networking. We look for trusted relationships. It doesn't matter whether they happen online, offline, on a phone, on a video conference, at an event like this. We are looking to build trust in everything that we do. Trust gives us safety. As humans, we all want to be safe. We don't want to die. We don't want to be hit by a spear or attacked by a tiger. So instinctively, we look to build trust. It's how we survive. So no matter what profession you're in, whether it's your clients, whether it's partners, whether it's co-workers, we are all trying to earn trust in a community. And that's actually how Google works and how the internet works. The internet delivers good results because whether Google says it or your friends on Facebook or LinkedIn say it, you're all saying, I trust this source to give me something familiar if I don't have that knowledge. So the thing that's really amazing to me as a guy that's on the internet is so many people look at the internet backwards. They look at the internet like it's a haystack. Like, I don't know anything that's in there. And they market like it's a haystack. As in, we don't care about the people who we know and trust. We're going to ignore all them. We're looking for people that we don't know and that we don't trust and we don't know could be good clients and we don't know would ever care about us. We look for something that doesn't exist in a trusted relationship. So what you do when you have to find people that you don't know, you buy Super Bowl ads. Except you don't call them Super Bowl ads, you call them shouting loud and buying big expensive stuff. I call them Super Bowl ads. We still get business from people that trust us, and trust takes time and effort. The thing that most people forget about is that the word of mouth is really as much word of mouse now. There's no difference between, like Linda and I. How many phone calls did we have between June and today? 0. But we got here. Because when she first asked me to speak, she didn't say, Howard, can you come speak at this event? She emailed me. She actually went to my website, filled out a form on the website that said, can I get you to come speak? And I said, sure. And we emailed back and forth. And there were some, I think there were a couple Facebook messages back and forth. We communicated. And yet I showed up without a telephone call. Isn't that amazing?
I think compliments go to Linda on that one.
But the thing that happens, exactly. The thing that happens is the internet, the thing that it's very, very good at, which frightens some people and excites some people, is the internet, thanks to Google, thanks to search engines, thanks to the fact that stuff lives on the internet pretty much forever, the internet amplifies whatever conversation, communication, information source. It amplifies it and it lets it echo for a long time, which can be scary for some people and wonderful for other people. Those connections give you a one-to-one opportunity. That means the internet isn't about me finding the planet, it's me finding one person, the right person. My customers, I've gotten since the internet has happened and more people like it, I get to be really picky with my customers. I get to pick customers that I like to work with and are the most profitable. That's great. That means I don't need millions and millions of people on the internet to come look at me. I need very specific people who want to work with what I can help them with. So this business building, these networks take time. And anybody who says, oh, I've been building my book of business for 20 years or whatever, they know this took time. They didn't show up and in 3 months have a book of business that basically earned them a lifetime of riches. It just doesn't work that way. And you can't click your way to riches. So when you see the thing that says, like, lose 37 pounds in 2 weeks, ask me how, or you see the thing that says, if you click here, you'll win a free iPad, it doesn't work. Those are scams. In the real world, we look at it and we go, that looks like garbage. Online, it's some prince from an African country who wants to deposit money in your bank account. So just give him your bank account number. The thing that's happened in the last 5-6 years, I refer to as the getting socialicious movement of the internet, which is now that we've all kind of figured out that the internet can be part of a business networking experience, all of these different social networks are the new easy, quick thing that we can all do. And what's been happening is very nice people have been hiring people like me who were very comfortable with this stuff to what I've described, and I said this at lunch, it's a telephone problem. 100 years ago, the telephone was this frightening thing that was installed in places, and people were like, well, what should I do with this? And they didn't know how it would work for them. And you could talk to someone at the same time, like if you talked into this box with a little hole and someone would hear it, where were they? I had no idea. You couldn't see them. You almost didn't trust what was happening because it was just some electrons traveling that you didn't understand, and that message got through. Well, that's kind of what's happening now, is social networks are the new telephone. And it's not replacing the telephone, it's just sitting next to it. So the phone works great sometimes, but sometimes the internet does. It's just like email is a message. How many of you have email coaches? Right, that's it. But see, when you realize how easy things like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter are, you'll think, why am I hiring a coach to do that? That's like I'm talking. I need a talking coach. Well, unless you're a speech-language pathologist, you probably don't have a lot of talking coaches. But what most people don't realize is something I call the digital referral. Referrals are real. When someone refers business to another person, that's real. And they look at the internet, and sometimes they get it, but most of the time they don't realize that when someone else says, this person knows what they're doing, that's a referral. And the way they do it online is very different than the way they do it in person. In person, it looks something like this, and Linda did this like 9 times this afternoon without even thinking about it. She introduced me and said, he is better than sliced bread. And I thought that was awesome. Each time, she did it in person. Hi, this is Howard. He is better than sliced bread. Listen to everything that he says. It's all pearls of wisdom. I get embarrassed, and then I have to deliver. And if I do a good job, you like Linda better. And you refer to her as a trusted source. She has good information. She's referring. Well, online, if I just sit up here and say, my stuff doesn't stink, I censored myself. If I get up there and say, everything that I do is exactly what you should be doing, you go, yeah, right. But when someone else says, this guy Howard, the stuff that he's doing, you should pay attention to it, you go, okay. It's the power of someone else sharing your stuff. Well, online it looks a little bit different than we're used to looking at it. That means it could be someone from one website to another posts a link. They say, here's a business I do business with, you should check them out. Or maybe they write a blog post or an article about you. Maybe they say, hey, can you come guest blog or write an article for my audience? Maybe in an email newsletter. Maybe it's an email introduction or a LinkedIn introduction. It could be someone suggesting an expert or liking a page on Facebook. When it shows up that says Howard Dervish likes X, Y, and Z, on Facebook you go, oh, what's X, Y, and Z? Because Howard knows his stuff about this thing. You know, oh, Howard just read an article about Amazon's new Kindle Fire HD product. What's that about? Let me ask Howard, because chances are he watched the keynote and knows the specs, and I just want to know where to drop $150. So you just ask me, what should I get? I need a present. Okay, here you go. Well, all of these different things, we don't acknowledge them back like they were important. So the networking opportunities break down, the developing trust over time breaks down, because someone says, here's a referral, and you don't say thank you, or give a referral back. Now, all of these different things, when this stuff happens online, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, it does something that I like to call intentional serendipity, which I've been trying to develop a formula for years about intentional serendipity, and the closest thing I can get involves a blender, so it doesn't work well, but it's basically, if you think about how active a network is, and how many people are on the network, and the amount of noise that's on the network versus the amount of useful information, and you just kind of blend all that stuff together, you get a sense that somewhere between invisible and annoying is where you should be. Because if you're on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, there are people who are annoying, which you want them to go away. And there are people who you never see. Somewhere between the two are the people you trust. If all you saw from me every 5 minutes was some article about technology, you would turn me off. I would become static. Why? Because you don't care that much about technology. You might say, oh, it's another one of those tech things, I can safely ignore that. But if I show up once a day with something very important that impacts your life, you go, that Howard guy really knows what you're doing. But if I show up once a year, you'll miss it. The math gets bad. So somewhere between I'm not doing anything to I'm bombarding the planet, that's where intentional serendipity happens. You have to find that balance between invisible and annoying. One of the other problems with these social networks that I run into all the time, especially in business, is this paradox that comes up. Online social networks, online marketing, things that you put on the internet, is tactically very simple. Does anyone know how to post a status update on Facebook? Like you type into the box and you press save? Right. Very simple. Except that businesses have to make a shift into how they communicate with their customers. Why? Because anybody can post on Facebook. So what most businesses do is they get an intern, someone who has no idea how to speak on behalf of that business, but they know their way around Facebook, and they say, young intern who costs me almost no money, waste your time on the internet. They don't say waste your time on the internet, but they say, please help us build a Facebook page or a Twitter page, or do something for us on these networks, or can you be blogging for us? They've become the voice of your company. Now, I don't know about you, but if a press conference needed to happen, would you send them? And the answer is usually not on your life. But you're doing it in something that will last forever and is persistently echoing to the entire planet. The young intern who has no idea how to speak for you. I think that's a frightening occurrence. I wouldn't recommend that. So what I often recommend is you bring in people who can teach you how these tools are like your telephone, but what the differences are and how they can work for you. And teach you that it's just a box that you type in and press save, or post, or tweet, or share. Whatever that is in that box, you're basically typing, copying and pasting some form of link, or uploading a picture and pressing save. That's the whole trick. So when people say, can you teach me how to be better at Facebook? I say, I can teach you how to type. And I'm very expensive for teaching you how to type. But let's talk about how that's going to work for your business. So day-to-day tactics are very, very simple, but actual strategic use of these tools is very difficult. Let me give you a pretty interesting analogy. Okay, this is a reciprocating saw. Anyone have one of these? Fun, yes?
I like it.
I like it too. Reciprocating saws are a lot of fun. You can basically cut through walls. It's awesome. I redid my kitchen this summer. I went down to the studs. It was awesome. Anyway, what I wouldn't use this tool for is slicing tomatoes or opening the mail. But you can do it. That reciprocating saw will go through a tomato and it will be a great letter opener. They'll nickname you Lefty when you're done, but it's not that useful. So the fact that you have access to these tools doesn't mean that you're going to use them responsibly, effectively, or efficiently. I know a lot of people, their business strategy is they post like crazy on Facebook, and it just looks silly and stupid, and they're spending all day doing it. And I just look at it and I go, I don't know what you're doing. But I have this great story about a friend of mine. He's a financial planner. This is hysterical. His company forbids him to use some of these tools. So here's how he develops his financial planning practice. He plays a couple games. One of them is called Farmville, of all things. He plays another one called Mafia Wars. Well, both of these games have an economy inside of them, where you play the game and you earn credits and you earn points, and then you can trade with other people, and sometimes some digital thing is worth 5 of another. There's an economy built inside. Some people will use real money so that they can fast forward through the economy. But guess what his skill is? Economy, how money works. So he plays in these games, and during these games, he teaches people how to be better at trading and what things that are valuable and what things aren't. And guess what he does when he's doing that? He is giving financial planning advice in the economy of Farmville and Mafia Wars, of all things. So he gets to play games at night, which he was going to play anyway. But he's developed the strategy that is, I don't care if I win, I enjoy playing the games. And I have lots of people who have become other people who play these games with me because I teach them how to trade better. And guess what they do the next day? They call him and say, hey, I saw on your Facebook profile that you're a financial planner. I just had a baby. I just inherited this. I just got a divorce. All these life events where he's dying to see, which they also had posted on Facebook, so he kind of knew. And they asked him for financial advice. Could you help me? I'm in Montana. Is it okay if you help me? Sure, I have clients who I help on the phone. He developed a huge book of business that's all from Farmville. Okay, but he's not allowed to post any financial advice on Facebook. He never did. He just taught people how to play a game. It's pretty neat. Well, I love that story because he didn't think it was special, because he didn't plan that that's what he was going to do. But he's the type of financial planner that teaches his clients how to use their money strategically so that they don't die with none. They die the day after they have none. Isn't that the goal of financial planning? If you die with money in the bank, you should have lived longer or you should have spent more. Because those ungrateful kids don't need it. Anyway, the other thing that people miss when they think about social networks is what happens when things happen that you didn't plan for. This is I'll call it a little social media response plan thing. This actually was adopted from how the military deals with the community when they go into cities like Afghanistan and Baghdad and things like that, because they have all these local people who probably don't appreciate soldiers with guns walking through their marketplace. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the people who have been living there forever, who are peaceful people, see someone with a gun and they don't like you very much. It doesn't mean they're a terrorist. It just means that they don't like the fact that someone's got a gun where their kids are running around playing. Like, I wouldn't like it either if someone with a gun showed up in Marlton, New Jersey, saying, I'm here to make sure everyone's safe. But you're holding a gun. Well, so to deal with things that happen online, one of the things you have to figure out is, what's going on? I see people get into, I'll call them pissing matches, because that's the nicest way I can put it, where they start fighting online, where one person's mad at another person because something didn't go the way they thought it was going to go, whatever it is. But I try to figure out, well, if the comment's not positive, because if they're positive, it's really easy usually, but if the comment's not positive, is this person here to ridicule? Is this person got a legitimate complaint? Or are they just misinformed? What's going on? So are they a troll? Are they misguided? Or are they truly unhappy? Well, you're going to respond to it in a different way. And I know a lot of businesses that their instinct is to try to hide when problems happen. But guess what happens when people hide things online? The power of the internet. The rest of the community comes to reposts. Because if a business tries to hide something, what do other people assume? They assume that it's true. But if a customer is totally like off their rocker, and they've decided that they bought this product that they thought did X, but it was never designed to do X, and they bought it and tried to do that and it didn't do it, and they start ranting and raving about it, well, do you want to get in a fight with them? And do you want to get in a fight with them in their backyard? Or do you want to take it to your own website and say, hi, we've noticed that some of our customers are trying to do X, Y, and Z with this product. It isn't designed to do that, and we highly recommend that you don't do that. So we understand that there have been some complaints online about this, but that's never what it's intended to do. And we're changing the packaging to make sure that no one makes that mistake again. Well, that sounds like a responsible company, as opposed to, you idiot, why did you use our product to do X, Y, and Z, and do it on their website? Because you thought you could hide it. Maybe make it go away. Anyway, all of this gets back to what I like to refer to as our culture of conversations. Conversations are what develops trust. And the speed of the conversations is really what has changed. For example, if I think back, Greek culture, you had this marketplace where people were around and they would all meet in the center, and they had democracy. They had direct representation because everyone could meet in the center square and say, I think it should go this way, and someone else would say no and throw food, and it was awesome. Well, that basically just changed from cave paintings to Greek marketplace to Pony Express, mail, telegraph, telephone. Television is not a communications form. It's one way, right? Have you ever yelled at your television? Has it responded?
No.
My favorite thing, this happens whenever I see this. You're driving in your car, someone cuts you off, and you yell. Does it help?
A little bit.
Does it really?
Let the steam, get the steam out.
You get the steam out, but guess what? They didn't hear you. You cut them, or they cut you off. In my case, I cut them off. And they didn't hear it. I didn't hear them when I did it. No, but that one-way communication, that's something where the post-World War II mass media movement taught us as marketers that we were supposed to shout as loudly as possible. Because we couldn't hear anyone say, stop shouting. Right? When you send out a direct mail piece, you're hoping that 1% of people respond. That's terrible. 1%? Oh, it makes me crazy. The numbers are even worse with TV and radio. You're hoping that someone responds. That's not a good way to develop trust. And trust happens over time, and it takes a while. The real change is speed. So now we think if we do something online, in an instant we see a click on our website, which leads to an order, or a call, or a form, whatever it is. I did X, and within 16 seconds, Y happened. Well, that doesn't feel like, it felt like I broadcast, but it really wasn't. I was having a conversation. So stop thinking about this mass number and start thinking about how can I have a conversation with the people who might buy from me, work with me, partner with me, refer me, whatever it is. How can I have that? So let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn, because I'm going to talk about LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter to just give you that framework. LinkedIn. This is generally your business social network. This is the safe one. Why? Because it's designed for businesses. You put your business information on it. It doesn't work really well to share pictures of your children or to say what you had for lunch or you're looking for a parking space. It doesn't do that well. What it does well is your online reputation in a really, really positive way. What it also does is it helps you figure out how you're related to other people. So for example, let's say for example, one of you sends me a message on LinkedIn. I can look at your profile and say, oh, I know you because of, and it'll show me the LinkedIn people who I'm connected with and you're connected with that are in common. So now I have a place to start talking from, or at least a place to understand where that trust was coming from. LinkedIn's pretty cool that way, except the biggest problem with LinkedIn, and I don't know if you've observed this, is nobody hangs out there. Anyone go on LinkedIn for a half hour a day and post stuff and read news? You just don't. And the reason is, it's all business. And guess what? My resume is boring. No one wants to read my resume all day long. It's boring. My LinkedIn profile is effectively my professional resume. It's great to have, and it's great when you need it for that kind of connection, but it's boring. So we just don't hang out there. So the ongoing activity on LinkedIn is kind of stale, boring, lame, not happy. Not a place that you want to do all the time. But LinkedIn has something that so many people skip. Does anyone know how to do advanced searches in LinkedIn?
Yeah.
See, Lynn's been there. All right, well, I'm gonna pause for a second and switch over to this other screen because I want to show you how this advanced search works. And let's show you this. This is something that many people don't do. And the reason why they don't do it, I still don't know, but that's okay because we're going to fix that today. So this is LinkedIn over here. Now, what most people do is they're on the home page and they're looking for a person, so they type in this little search box and they type in, I'm just going to type in Linda, and there's Linda Kester, right? That's what they do. That's how they search, right? Very exciting. Well, what they fail to do is see this little box here that says advanced. What does advanced mean in tech terms?
More precise.
More fields.
What it really means in usability labs is don't click this one. Like, we did tests where we would literally do things like search more, and we would change the text from search more to advanced to different words, and as soon as they felt like this is something that you have to be a tech to do, they would never click it. Ever. So, but I'm going to click advanced because I'm really daring. Well, what most people don't realize on LinkedIn is you can get really, really precise. So, what would be a job title of a good prospect for anybody in this room? CFO. CFO. So let's look for the keyword financial officer, right? We'll just do that. And I'm not going to do anything else to it. I'm just going to say search from here. So right away, I'm getting Chief Financial Officer, and it's showing me that this person who is at Advantgate, I don't know what this is, I'm connected to them through this person. Well, you know what the funny thing is? I know how to call her. She's in my LinkedIn connections. So she's connected to this person, I'm not sure why, but, and I can keep going. And some of them are interesting, some people I'm already connected with. Some people I went to college with, some people I've done business with. But however they are in there, they have CFO in their title. That's pretty cool. And so I can keep refining. So maybe I change this, instead of keywords, I go with the title. And I call it Chief Financial Officer. And we'll say current or past is fine. Maybe we're going to say located or near, let's put them in the United States, and let's put them near, I'll put them near where I live. And I want it within, yeah, we'll say 25 miles. So I'm going to narrow it down. Instead of looking at, many thousands of these, I'm only going to look at people who are closer. Okay, this got it down to about 1,000 people that I'm connected with. Now, here's the other thing. This is also pretty cool. I don't want my first connections because I know who they are already. But I only want second connections. These are people who are 1 degree connected away. Basically, someone in my friends network is connected with them. Well, that's pretty cool. These are people I don't know yet that are connected to me through, in this case, here's 2 people. I know both those people I can call. Here's one person here. right? All of a sudden, I have like actions I can do. I need to contact these people. I have a prospect list of people who know me and trust me and think I'm better than sliced bread, as Linda will attest to. Sorry. Who will introduce me to the people I'm desperate to get in touch with. And nobody uses advanced search. You know what's really awesome? LinkedIn has like stats as to who uses what tools. It's less than 0.1% of users use advanced search. So, if you want to use LinkedIn in a really interesting, powerful way, start using advanced search. Just do that.
So a general question about LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I get requests from people.
Do you have any idea who they are?
Not at all.
Say no. Just ignore it. Don't connect. Why? Because you don't know them. They don't actually help you. If someone wants to connect with me, here's what's going to happen. Some of you are going to go home, and I don't know who you are. And you're going to connect with me on LinkedIn. And here's what I'm going to do. If it says, I would like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn, I'm just going to ignore it. Because I have no idea. I don't know. Because your picture is old. I don't know. I didn't recognize you. But if you said, I just heard you speak at the conference, and you were fabulous, and Linda said I better be connected with you on LinkedIn, I'll connect with you because you just gave me some context. You showed me that I actually don't think you're an alien.
How can we brief that up for you so that all we have to do is, how about the keyword NAELB? Would you go with that?
Type it out and give him a compliment.
That's right. That's right.
He's a compliment hunter.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you think a lot of those bogus LinkedIn's are coming through the second generation, that they want to get connected but they're afraid to make the connection, so they're going through the back door?
No, I think what they're doing is they're just, there's a large percentage that are coming through basically marketing spam farms.
Oh, really?
So you'll get stuff where you'll look at the person's name and you'll see that they have like no shared connections. It might be they're in a similar group or something like that. So, and there's a lot of stuff that you can tweak on LinkedIn. I'm going to move just because we have yet so much. The big thing to understand with LinkedIn is it is critical for business communications, but people don't hang out. So think of it as LinkedIn is my new place for direct prospecting, but more. No more cold calls. None. I don't like them. I actually, I got hired in a business in like 2003. And the very first day I got there, the owner says to me, I want you to make 100 cold calls a week. And I said, no. And he's like, well, I don't know how you're going to develop business. And I said, watch me. And you know what? It's 2012. Do you know how many cold calls I've made since 2003? 0. I don't do it. I refuse. I refuse to have a 1% return rate. That is not acceptable. My life is worth more than a 1% return. 1% return, I'm better just sticking my money under the mattress and moving to some place where it doesn't cost anything. And shooting deer. Living off the land. It's nice out there. It's quiet. No 4G access though. Anyway, moving on, Facebook. Facebook is big. It's very big. It's so big that there are over 900 million active users. There are people, 330 people, 700 billion minutes each month. This is insane. 18 million users update their status each day. This number is actually higher, but this is the last one that Facebook admits to. 4 million users become fans each day. That's more like 10 million now. It's pretty amazing. 850 million photos every month. Again, that's not a recent number that Facebook admits to. Other sources are posting that like 5 times that high. 7 million videos uploaded, not YouTube, just on Facebook uploaded there. 28 million pieces of content, and I think it's like 2 million events created every month. That's ridiculous, okay? For many people, Facebook is the internet. There isn't like other sites. Their start page is Facebook and their end page is Facebook. Facebook is like what AOL was in 1995. That was the experience. You sign on, you use it, that's where everything is, and when you're done, you aren't on Facebook anymore because you aren't doing it. Facebook is pretty substantial. But there's a lot of debate between Facebook and business. And it's not helped because a lot of businesses block Facebook because you can do things like play Farmville and Bejeweled Blitz and you know, look at people's kids' pictures and all this other stuff, and it's not business related. But anyone ever go on a golf outing? Anyone go golfing ever? Yeah. And there are other people there. What do you do at the beginning of that golf outing? What do you talk about? Talk about business, or do you talk about your kids, the hobbies that you have, where you went to school, what people you know in common? You build trust at the beginning of that golf outing. Well, what are you doing on Facebook for real? When you talk to people about their kids and see some hobbies, you are building trust. The key to good business relationships, the key to any relationship, is the establishment of trust. Trust happens over time. Trust happens in mysterious ways. One of those ways could be through Farmville. Ugh, I hate that game. I think it's a total waste of my time. Thank goodness I have other ways to get prospects. And some of it involves things like finding people who I care about and trust and making sure that the people who I know who they are. Well, that's a very different approach than saying, look at me, I'm awesome. So when I comment on other people's stuff, or I repost something from someone else, or share someone else's stuff, or like it, and people see that here's this guy Howard, who is really knowledgeable about these subjects, and he just reposted this thing on that subject, let me check it out. But because I'm not doing it every single moment of the day, I'm doing it with a little bit of discipline, not I'm going to spend my entire life on it. People notice it, and they go, wow, that was really great advice. And then all of a sudden, they have this problem. And then the next thing I know, someone calls me up and says, this happened to me, today is Saturday, this happened to me Friday at 10:30 a.m. Someone who is a Facebook friend, they were a friend of my father's on Facebook, and they saw me because they were a friend of my father's, who I eventually developed a relationship, saw that, you know, I met her like 3 or 4 times. Well, guess what happened? Her computer network, we call it in IT parlance, took a dump. It died yesterday before she came in. So her whole business was basically shut down. And she's been using an IT company for years and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And the IT company said, well, the earliest we can get someone out there is Monday afternoon, maybe Tuesday. So guess what she did? She sent me a message on Facebook and said, can you help me? She did it on her phone, because her internet was down, her network was down. And I said, sure, here's my number, call me right now. She calls me and tells me what's going on. And I said, oh, I'll get one of our techs out there. And within an hour, because her office is an hour away from mine, and our tech got there within about an hour of her calling, because he drives fast, her network was on the way to getting back up. So she called me at 10:30, and at 12:30 her network was back up. Well, was it because I was on Facebook? I think it was because we developed a relationship over time that happened because she had interests related to someone who I knew and trusted, and that turned into sort of an ambient awareness that I might be good at this. It developed trust over time, and now she had a need, and bang, she called me. She didn't go to my website. She didn't Google. She just said, I trust you. Happened on Facebook. Privacy is weird on Facebook. I get it. A lot of people don't know how privacy works. They think that the way I publish on Facebook is everything's in public or nobody can see anything. They don't understand that there's a lot of neat awareness. And I joke with people about how do you plan a surprise party for your wife on Facebook? And I've used that as a demonstration in topics, because you can set your posts, and I'm going to do a quick little demo on how to do this, because I'm nothing if not for demos here. Let's get back over here to our little demo area. And we will go over to, we'll just go to my Facebook page. You ever notice that when you want to post something, there's this little box here that says, what's on your mind? And you think, who cares? Okay, what's on your mind? What if I were to say, planning a surprise party for my wife? Right? Well, there's this little thing here, and I have a couple options. I could make it public. I could tell the whole world. So anybody on the planet could find this update. Not smart. I could also say just my friends. My wife's my friend's network. She'll see it. I could say only me, right? Well, only me. I won't say what that is. Or I could go custom. Now here's what's cool about custom. Facebook lets you create all different kinds of options and lists and things like that. I could do friends of friends. I could say specific people or lists. I could say only me. This is make it visible to. So maybe I want to make this to, I'll say specific people or list. And I have a list that I call very close friends. And I have a list that is trust with family stuff. I made 2 lists. So that sometimes I want to post stuff that just my very, very closest people who I don't mind seeing, like my children naked in the bathtub. I've never done that before. That would be embarrassing to them. So I have 2 versions. I have the very close friends and the tighter trust with family stuff. So I want these people to see it, but I also want to hide this from Danielle. Well, now I can make this post that only a small group of people can see, and definitely my wife cannot see. Well, you know what's really cool? You can do this for everything you do on Facebook. Oh, pretty cool. So you could have things, you could have a list of your business contacts. So now what you do is all of your personal fun stuff, hide it from your business contacts. Why? Because you don't want them seeing the pictures of your children. Maybe you do. Who knows? It just depends on what you're comfortable with. But what you could also do is you could target a post and say, only show it to my business contacts. You know what's great about that? I don't have to annoy my friends and family with stuff that they're not interested in. So they're never going to turn me off and treat me like static. I also don't have to show all my business people stuff that they're not interested in. So they're not going to turn me into static or turn me off. It's a high level of customization that you can do. Now, here's another very cool thing. I'm going to go over to the business page. Yes, I'm going to leave this page. No, I didn't post my update. That's fine. On business pages, if you're using a business page for your business, you have a couple of new options. One thing that most people forget that they can do is, I can, here I've got this thing that says voice. Well, I have this little option where I could decide I'm going to use Facebook as the company. So now when I go to Facebook, the company has its own likes. So rather than saying I have a personal account and I have a business account, I'm trying to keep 2 accounts straight, which by the way is a violation of Facebook's terms of service, but that's okay. I can now go to clients and see what they're doing, different things. And if I were to, let's say, post a comment, when I post this comment, see the little icon? It's posting it as the company, not as me. So now I can traverse Facebook as the company and have my own set of likes and comments and stuff that are company specific. Not you, not this other thing, as the company. That's a pretty cool way of doing it. What I can also do, and I'll switch back over here, that's just me. Let's go over to my company page. Is when I post something, a lot of people forget about this. Let's say I'm posting some link to an article. Here's this article I found today, which is, who leaves Comedy Central to work for the government? How about Wikipedia told the author that he's not the credible source on his own book? That one I liked. So I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to post this to our Facebook page, because I want to share this great article from Ars Technica. So maybe my comment is, funny, or doesn't, how about one would think that he would know about his own book. Right? Right? Okay. Now, what a lot of people do with their Facebook, and this is why they lose a lot of time in their day, is they post this, and they hit post, and they go, great, it's up. But what they should do is they should think, you know what? None of my customers are on Facebook right now. They're on Facebook tonight at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to schedule this. I'm going to schedule this for 2012, and this is a little clunky, September, let's just say, what's Monday? 10th? 10th? And let's call it 8/20. So now this very insightful article that I want to share with people who might care about our company, I don't have to post right now. I found it right now, but I'm going to post it Monday night by hitting schedule. Cool, right? So now Monday night, while I'm watching a Phillies game and being really, really sad, because you've seen this. No explanation needed. Let's just put it this way. I was sad at the end of June because I knew the math just wasn't going to work. So I'm over that. Well, that little post, it's not showing yet, because it's not that time yet, but I can go and I can look at my little activity log, and it'll show me, hey, here's a couple things. I actually posted a joke to happen right before the Apple keynote next week. Apple's having a big announcement. They're going to talk about the new iPhone and whatever it is. So I found a comic. It's a spoof of like, ha ha ha, Tim Cook, you know, this is what we're doing, whatever. I actually forget what the comic is about now because I found the comic last week and knew that I wanted to have it post right before the keynote address. Just as a fun thing. So I have a couple of things on deck. So now I don't have to worry about, hey, I need to surf Facebook when it's inconvenient for me because it's when it's convenient for my customers. I can actually schedule my life around it. That's pretty cool. I don't have to be stuck doing it all day long. Let me get myself back to my
So you
previous.
said it only works on business pages though, not on any like community page or group page or?
The scheduling works on business fan pages, yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit tricky there.
Can you take your contacts from your personal page over to your business, like import contacts
Well,
or something?
when you use a business page,
Yeah.
your friends are your friends. They don't change, but now it's a business page. So it's not you, it's the business. So you can invite all of your friends to that business page and suggest that they go to it, but it's a little bit different. So Twitter, and I move on because Twitter is weird. Twitter is weird. A lot of people look at Twitter and they go like, are you crazy? Because it's weird. Twitter is different. And the reason why Twitter is different is it is real time, right now, public, right now, public. Not private, not no one can see this, just anybody can see it, and it's happening right now. What was posted on Twitter 30 minutes ago is 29 minutes of irrelevant. So the way a lot of businesses use Twitter is they use it like a broadcast mechanism. I'll dump all my posts from somewhere else onto Twitter and let them tweet out, and people will see it. It doesn't work. The stats just don't back it up. Twitter is real time and now. So for example, when you see how fast stuff happens on Twitter, you realize, geez, it's a lot of stuff that I don't care about, but there's a small slice of stuff that I do wildly care about. So the idea with Twitter is, I need to find where the stuff that I care about is happening and who it's happening with. So I'll give you something. There is a person who gave me they called me. I had started my consulting practice. I had left the company. I started my consulting practice. They called me about 6 months before they started this idea and asked me what I thought. And the idea that they had was, I'm going to have a Twitter chat where people are going to talk about small businesses. And I'm going to bring on people that are really interested in small businesses. So every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, I'm going to bring people on. And if that does really well, I'll write my own book. And if that does really well, maybe I'll become a guest blogger and a columnist and whatever. Her name is Melinda Emerson. Her nickname is Small Biz Lady. She now writes for the Washington Post and the New York Times. She started with this crazy idea and called me about it. I was an early guest on her Small Biz Chat, which is Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. She still does it. The great thing that she does is she never features her as the guest. She's never the expert. All she does is every Wednesday night she finds someone that has a topic for small businesses, and her book is How to Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, how to start your own business basically. And the book is great. But when she went to sell the book, she had almost a year and a half of new followers from the first 6 people who showed up on night 1 for Twitter for a Small Biz Chat to hundreds, now thousands of people who show up every week to see who the guest is. So when she launched her own book, guess what she had before it launched? Thousands and thousands of pre-orders. All these people who for years, she was lifting up saying, great sources, great sources. Well, guess what that audience was hungry for? What she had to say. And when she said, here's the book, everyone bought it. It was awesome. And guess what happens when you have a book that everybody buys? More people want to buy it. Main media sources say, why is everybody buying your book? That's pretty impressive. We should let you write for the Washington Post. We should let you write for this. We should let you write for this. Maybe you can come in and do this. So her little crazy idea that I went, good luck to you, worked brilliantly. And I'll do a quick demo of Twitter. I know we're going to run short on time and I don't want to infringe.
Did you really say good luck to you?
I really did. I told her, I said, good luck. Please keep me posted about Twitter chats. I want to see how that goes. It sounds interesting, but I'd be concerned that no one's going to show up. for a while. You're gonna get a lot of early Twitter chats where there's like 3 people and they're all people you invited. But she kept at it, and she kept doing it. And she did the things, she used the hashtags. She took all of the chat from the previous night and she put it on her blog. She shared that out, she got other people to retweet it. She did all the things right. So at the beginning, when the math was terrible, it grew and grew and grew, and then the exponential part. Like 1 to the first power is 1, right? 2 to the second power is 2. 3 to the third power is what? 27. 4 to the fourth power is 64. The math gets really good if you keep at it. But getting from 1 to 4 to 27 is where most people stop. They don't get to 27. She got to like the 256. She got to the big numbers because she kept at it. So Twitter, here's what's happening. This is kind of, some of this stuff is interesting, but as you can see, this number just keeps going up. I'm not doing anything. But just after refreshing it, the number just keeps going up. But let's say I want to search for, I'll just say Phillies. Because as pathetic as it may be for me at this point in the season. So I do a search for Phillies, and it's showing me lots of activity. And some of these things are promoted, because people search for the Phillies all the time, but you have all these other things that are happening just on the net. Well, if you care about the Phillies, look for the Phillies. When Survivor is on, guess what's a trending topic? Survivor. And you know what's really cool? They now have Jeff Probst live tweeting during the episodes, one for each time zone that he does it in, answering questions. So people who have questions about what's going on in the episode, instead of having like a director's cut or the commentary that you would find that DVD, like the director talks over the movie, is Jeff Probst on Twitter. It's pretty cool. So if you love Survivor, you show up there. Well, those Twitter chats, Melinda's was one of the first early ones, but now there's literally like 500 known, listed, this time of day, this time of the month, at this point, this is the hashtag for Twitter chats. So go find it. There might be one for your industry or for your customer's industry where you show up as an expert. It's pretty cool.
How do you get your followers?
I don't care how many followers I get. That's how I get them. I know it sounds like a cop-out. I show up where I can be an expert, and then people follow me. And when I show up where I can be an expert, and I give information that people appreciate, value, and then use and like, people follow me.
So you comment on other people's tweets?
Sure.
You retweet or
I usually interact.
interact?
I usually have a one-to-one conversation,
So you're replying to their whatever they post?
if I can, if it makes sense for me to. But I'll go weeks without touching Twitter because I don't have time. And then I'll show up to Twitter and be very engaged, and it happens like that. And it's not because I have a lot of followers, it's because I don't look at the number of followers as an important metric for me. I look at how I interact with people, which actually leads me to this next big sort of hot topic in social networks, which I want you to just take with a grain of salt. Everyone's talking about credibility, basically saying, if we look at all of your activity on the social networks, one of the big players is called clout. And people have clout scores, and people think that's important. Credibility on the internet through an algorithm is basically like this. If you need Fonzie to tell you you're cool, you're probably not. Right? If Fonzie says, hey, you're cool, you're not cool. He's just being nice. And this whole concept of someone scoring you and proving that you're credible, we know who's good at certain topics. We know that, like, the New York Times covers things a lot better than the Courier Post, right? No offense to the Courier Post, it's a little local paper, but New York Times, reputable, great source. Courier Post, probably reprinting stuff from the AP or having bad grammar. Like, it's not that bad, but they're not the New York Times. It's okay. Anyway, we know what the credible sources are. And a lot of this thing on this credibility front is created by social media gurus who want to justify their existence. This is something that this whole credibility thing, it's trying to find a fast forward button for trust over time. Saying, you can trust them because we've given them a high score. Well, I showed someone over the course of 2 months how to gain clout so they can have a great clout score on their topic, but they didn't know anymore. They weren't any better than they were 2 months ago, but I showed them how to game the algorithm. Because it's easy to game the algorithm. So the people that game the algorithm get high clout. Except when you then do the acid test, which is I actually buy their product, it's terrible. So I want to give you a couple quick rookie mistakes. I'm rolling to a close here. Here's the first one. If you're blogging, don't write your best blog post first. Why? Because no one's listening yet, and then you don't know what to write for your 50th blog post. Blogging is over time. You're going to talk about small topics over a long period of time. So don't use your best ideas first. Use small ideas. Let it build so that your 50th post is your manifesto, not your first. Email marketing. It is not a postcard. Email should be called email. Why? Because it's showing up on my hip. Anyone have a smartphone, like, on their nightstand? Under their pillow? Yeah. Well, when email hits this, and if it's not relevant to you, how do you feel about it? Angry, right? I don't want this. Get this away. When you get junk mail from the physical mailbox, how do you feel about it? Are you angry at it? No. Email is not a postcard. It works differently. You get angry at irrelevant email, but you don't mind postcards. So don't treat email like postcards. If the person you're emailing doesn't know who you are or care about you in any of the slightest, chances are they're going to be angry at you. That's a bad start of a relationship and a bad way to build a relationship. Email marketing is hard. Don't treat it like a postcard. Don't post things that are irrelevant. You're not going to find me posting things that don't have something to do with something I care about or something that I think that the people I know would care about to learn. I don't post stuff that isn't relevant to me. Do you know what I don't post? I don't post inspirational quotes. Do you know why? Because I'm not an inspirational speaker. So for me, and the people who know me, inspirational quotes would be a waste of time. Have I posted inspirational quotes in my life? Yes, I have. Because they moved me in a way that I said, I have to share this. But it might be 1 in 5 years. I know people that they post 10 inspirational quotes every day. And I just want to say, what are you doing? You're teaching me to ignore you. Don't outsource your voice. I don't let my wife speak on my behalf. Seriously. If it's your voice, make it your voice. Don't let some intern or someone who isn't you or can speak on behalf of your business do it. That's how you screw up. Don't even let some marketing guru like me be your outsourced voice. You know what the funny thing is? PR companies are really good at this. The reason is they're good at the first contact, and then when the person comes back, the PR company says, you need to respond to this. Because they know they can be they can send out the message you told them to send, but they can't reply. Don't obsess over the number of friends, fans, or followers. This is kind of exactly the point. Guess what? Is Oprah here? No, she's not. Someone's going to have more friends, fans, or followers than you. Get over it. Because the funny thing is, with the startup company that I'm at, Cocoa Technologies, little logo down there, we have like 110 Facebook friends. Well, guess what? We get business off our Facebook page. 110. Who cares? I know people that have 20,000 Facebook fans, and you know how much business they get off their Facebook page? 0. Why? Because no one cares about them. They don't do anything that they care about. My 110 likes on our little startups page have generated real business leads and new customers. Because the funny thing is, when we first started, we were getting business and we had 14 likes. But we posted useful stuff. We shared useful stuff. We lifted our clients up. All right, don't be a broken record. Don't post the same thing every single time. If you have one link to share and only one link, the best advice I can give to you is get number 2. And then write number 3, and then number 5, and keep going. Write useful content. Find useful content. Don't post the same blog post every single day, thinking that people will care about it more because you posted it 9 times. Don't automate your posts. I showed you how to automate that little Facebook thing, schedule that in advance. Use that wisely. Use that as an efficient way to do it. But you have to be able to listen. So don't just have things just automatically posting and you're not paying attention. Because if someone responds and you don't realize that it happened, it's like you didn't care about them. If I say, hey everybody, how you doing? And you say, great, how are you doing? And I just go, you think I'm a jerk. Because we were having a two-way conversation, at least you thought that. So I said something, you said something back, and I ignored you. That's not a good relationship. That's how to kill trust. Don't post everything that you read. Some people like reposting articles that they read. I read tech journals, I read all this kind of stuff. I love reposting that stuff. Do you know how many of those tech articles I post a day? What do you think is my maximum number?
1, 2.
3. And it's 3 because of the tech company that I work for. That page gets a lot. Personally, do you know how many I post a day? Maybe 2 a week, maybe. If there's something really good. Like, we're in new product season, so I'm a little hyper. 2 months ago, no new products. Nothing interesting. Don't always be the center of attention. I know I am right now, but the best thing you can do is lift up the people who can refer you. You know what's really interesting about that? When the planet sees you as someone who consistently helps people, what does the planet want to do for you? They want to help you. It's amazing. It's so simple. It's like I'm telling you how to be a human being, right? Just use the internet to do it. It's okay. Number 10, and remember that you're human. That's part of it. Remember, trust happens over time. You're going to make mistakes, right? Humans, mistakes. We mess up. And so my last little story is about Barbara Streisand. This is her private estate that she didn't want anyone to be able to see. So here's what happened. There was this small little nonprofit, and what they were doing was they were taking pictures of the California coastline to make this sort of like cool panorama thing, sew it all together, fly a helicopter across the coast, take all these pictures of the coastline, make it really pretty. Little nonprofit, no money, no attorneys, just let's just do this project, and each year we'll retake the picture so that we can show how it moves over time, right? She got wind of this, and she decided that it was illegal for them to take a picture of her house. The truth of the matter is, it actually was perfectly legal for her to do it, for them to take this picture. It's viewable. She thought, well, it's over the ocean, it can't be. Well, no, it actually can be. They can take a picture, people can see it, you know, whatever. So she tried to sue them out of existence, and they had no money. So guess what the internet did for them? They said, oh, Miss Streisand, it looks like that one's your house, so let's publish it everywhere. So there's a term. When you Google Streisand, you get a next keyword called effect. The Streisand effect is the thing you try to hide the most. The internet will do the opposite for you. So, like bread dough in your hand, if you try to squeeze it tight, it spills everywhere. You can't compress it out of existence. The best thing she could have done is this. Hi, are you going to put any labels as to whose houses or what on your things? And they would say, absolutely not. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Promise me that you won't. And could you blur like a little bit on that photo on on the number of address just in case someone finds it? And how about this? Here's $30,000 so you can do this for the next 5 years. How would that work for her? It would have been great. Philanthropic. Trying to save the coastline. Never fight, never hide, never make jokes at people's expense, and don't steal stuff from people. Don't do it on the internet. It remembers. Right? No fighting. Oh, it's political season. Don't fight. Please, please don't fight. It makes you look like a jerk, no matter who you support. Don't fight. Please, just don't. And don't hide either. If you mess up, say, oh my God, I messed up. Because when you say, oh my God, I messed up, your human instinct is, let me help you. Because you admitted that you messed up. We're humans, we don't do it. Don't joke at people's expense. Text jokes have like no, like meaning the little smileys, snarky marks, the winkies, joking, right? People don't get jokes on the internet. So don't make a joke at someone else's expense. Self-deprecating, good. At someone else, bad. And definitely don't steal, because Google knows it. Always make your message personal. Make it about you or your business. Don't just generic it to death. Always lift people up. The people that you know and trust, show the world why you do. It's a better human response. And be original. Always be original. Don't steal something from someone else and call it your own. Write new stuff. Give to the planet. It comes back to you. Karma works. It's awesome. Do you have questions for me that we can answer in a short amount of time? Excellent. No, thank you.
I have a question about the Facebook page. Were you saying that if I have an individual Facebook page, the legal Facebook way to do it is to create my business Facebook page off of that?
Yes, you have one account. Every human gets one account. If you sign in with 2 separate accounts, you're actually breaking the rules. And the reason is they're trying to make sure that they understand who did what and where. And when you show up with duplicate profiles,